Fleet Commander Rel stared at the holographic display of the blue-green planet with growing unease. The third rock from an unremarkable yellow star had been classified as harmless by previous survey teams. Yet something about these humans troubled him deeply. "Play the footage again," he ordered. Lieutenant Vox complied, and the recording from their cultural observation post resumed. A human male lifted a vehicle off another human who had been trapped beneath it. The vehicle weighed several tons. Yet in that moment of crisis, the human had performed a feat of strength that should have been physically impossible. "How?" Rel asked, mandibles clicking with agitation. "Their muscular density doesn't support such capabilities." "That's not all, Commander," said Science Officer Mira, her translucent tentacles flickering anxiously as she called up another file. "We've documented humans surviving conditions that should be fatal. Extreme temperature fluctuations, puncture wounds, limb severance, even brief oxygen deprivation." The bridge of the research vessel fell silent as the crew watched dozens of documented cases of humans performing incredible feats. A female lifting burning wreckage to save offspring, a male swimming through freezing waters for hours, another surviving without food for weeks. "They're not supposed to be able to do this," Mira continued. "Their bodies are fragile, water-based, limited calcium-reinforced endoskeletons. Yet in moments of extreme stress, they change." Rel's compound. Eyes narrowed. "A defense mechanism?" "More than that," Mira replied. "We've detected unusual neural patterns, dormant brain regions that activate during crisis, and their adrenal system. It's unlike anything we've seen. It doesn't just enhance performance, it transforms them." Tactical Officer Dren joined the conversation. "Commander, we've intercepted their entertainment broadcasts. They're obsessed with violence. Their fiction consistently portrays scenarios where they defeat technologically superior species." "Wishful thinking," Rel dismissed. "Or preparation," Dren countered. "Their entire history is warfare. Even their peaceful periods are just pauses between conflicts." Medical Officer Gora rose from her station. "There's more. Their genetic structure contains sequences that appear dormant. Ancient code, Commander. As if parts of their genome have been deliberately suppressed." Rel felt a cold sensation creep down his spine ridge. "Are you suggesting—" "Bioengineering," Gora said softly. "Very old, very sophisticated. These humans may not be natural evolution at all. They show signs of being purpose-built." "For what purpose?" Vox asked. Rel's gaze returned to the planet rotating serenely below them. "War, Lieutenant. They were built for war." Mira's instruments chimed. "Commander, we're detecting unusual activity in their orbital defense grid. They've spotted us." "Impossible," Rel said. "Our cloaking technology has failed," Dren reported, alarm coloring his voice. "They're hailing us." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a human female in a simple uniform. Her face betrayed no emotion, but something in her eyes made Rel instinctively retreat a step. "Unknown vessel," she said, her voice translated smoothly by their systems. "You have entered Earth-controlled space. Identify yourselves immediately." Rel signaled to cut the transmission. "Options? We should leave," Mira urged. "Continue observation from a safer distance." "Too late," Dren said. "They're powering weapon systems." "That's not possible," Rel insisted. "Our intelligence indicated they have nothing that could, Blinding flash of light interrupted him as the first human weapons impacted their shields. "Shields at 70%!" Vox shouted, panic evident in his voice. "Their technology! It's not what our records indicated." As alarms blared across the bridge, Rel made his decision. "We need to understand what we're dealing with. Prepare." "A covert landing team. We must learn the truth about these humans before it's too late." The landing team materialized in an abandoned industrial complex on the outskirts of a medium-sized human settlement. Team leader Kell adjusted his perception filters, ensuring his 4-member squad remained invisible to human detection systems. "Disperse and observe," he ordered. "Remember protocol. No interaction, no interference." Biologist Tana moved toward the nearest cluster of human dwellings, her sensory appendages cataloging everything. "Their structures are so permanent," she observed. "Built to withstand centuries, not optimized for efficiency." "Because they're fortress mentality thinkers," replied Historian Penn. Everything they build doubles as potential shelter during conflict. Security Officer Larn scanned the perimeter. Movement approaching. 2 humans. The team froze as a pair of humans, one male, one female, wandered into the complex. They appeared to be young, carrying small packs and illumination devices. Urban explorers, Penn whispered. Humans who investigate abandoned structures for recreation. Kell signaled the team to maintain position as the humans passed merely arm's length from their location. The female suddenly stopped, her head tilting. "Did you hear that?" she asked her companion. "Hear what, Meg?" the male responded. Never mind." She shook her head. "This place gives me the creeps." Tana's instruments silently recorded their vital signs. Fascinating. Even in this non-threatening environment, their bodies maintain constant readiness, adrenaline levels elevated, sensory acuity enhanced. They're always prepared for threat, Larn noted. Evolutionary paranoia. The humans moved deeper into the complex. Against better judgment, the team followed. Kell needed more data, particularly on human threat responses. When the floor collapsed beneath the male human, sending him crashing through rotted wood to the level below, they got their chance to observe. "Tom!" The female's scream echoed through the building. What followed astonished even the veteran Xenor researchers. The female's biochemistry transformed instantly. Her pupils dilated, muscles tensed, and neural activity spiked. She found a path downward and descended with reckless speed. "Tom, hold on!" The male had suffered a compound fracture of his lower limb, bone protruding through skin. The injury should have incapacitated him, yet he was attempting to free himself from debris. "I'm okay," he grunted, though his vital signs indicated severe pain. "Just stuck." "Remarkable pain suppression," Tana noted, recording frantically. "And look at her." The female, slight in frame, was now moving concrete blocks twice her body weight, clearing a path to her companion. Her normal strength limits had seemingly vanished. "Their dormant systems are activating," Kell observed. Just as the reports indicated. The female reached the male, assessed his injuries with surprising medical accuracy, then improvised a splint using materials from her pack and the surrounding debris. "This confirms Commander Rel's theory," Penn said. "Their evolutionary development makes no sense unless it was engineered. They're too adaptable, too resilient." Larn's attention had shifted elsewhere. "Team leader, we have a problem. The structure's integrity is failing. And something else. There's a chemical signature here. Hydrocarbons. Ignition source." Too late. They realized the humans had been using primitive combustion lanterns that had ruptured in the collapse. Fire bloomed suddenly, cutting off the primary exit path. Instead of panic, the humans displayed coordinated action. The female helped the male stand, bearing his weight as they sought an alternate route. "We can't let them die," Tana said suddenly. "The data." "Protocol prohibits intervention," Kell reminded her. "Wait," Penn interjected. "Look at their faces." The humans weren't showing fear anymore. Something had changed in their expressions. Determination, calculation, almost excitement. "They're not retreating from the danger," Larn realized. "They're engaging with it, planning through it." Kell's communication device vibrated with an urgent message from the ship. "Return immediately. Human military forces converging on your location. Possible detection." As the team prepared for emergency extraction, Kell took one last look at the humans, who were now smashing through a wall to create an escape route. "They're not just survivors," he said quietly. "They're conquerors." Commander Rel paced the bridge, mandibles clicking in agitation as he reviewed the landing team's findings. "So the dormancy is breakable. These humans can access their enhanced capabilities through what they call adrenaline responses." "Yes, but it appears temporary," Kell reported. "They revert to baseline afterward, often experiencing something they call crash, extreme fatigue as their systems normalize." Science Officer Mira manipulated the holographic display, highlighting human brain scans. "The most concerning discovery is here. These neural pathways, they're designed for combat, pattern recognition, threat assessment, tactical modeling. Even their young display these traits. In games," Penn added, "their offspring engage in simulated combat from earliest development stages. They call it play, but the activities mirror military training exercises." Tactical Officer Dren approached, with a data tablet. "Commander, we've intercepted more of their communications. Their military organizations have detected our presence. They're remarkably calm about it. Explain, Rel demanded. No panic. No public announcements. Their leaders are discussing us with disturbing practicality. They're assessing threat levels, developing response strategies. Rel absorbed this, as if they've prepared for this moment. Precisely, Dren confirmed. And there's more. We've detected unusual activity at several remote facilities. Energy signatures inconsistent with our intelligence about their technological capabilities. Medical Officer Gora joined them, her normally pale features flushed with excitement. I've completed analysis of human medical records we accessed. Commander, their medical technology is focused on suppression rather than enhancement. What do you mean? Rel asked. Many of their medications dampen their capabilities. Pain relievers, psychiatric drugs, sleep aids, all designed to reduce functions. It's as if their modern lifestyle requires chemical intervention to keep them docile. A chilling silence fell over the bridge crew. You're suggesting, Rel said slowly, that modern humans are deliberately suppressing their true nature. Or, something is, Gora replied. Many of their chronic conditions result from their biology fighting against artificial constraints. Anxiety, insomnia, hypervigilance, these aren't disorders. They're their natural state trying to reassert itself. Lieutenant Vox, who had been monitoring communications, suddenly straightened. Commander, encrypted transmission from Earth to their Mars colony. They're activating something called Protocol Sleeper. Show me, Rel ordered. The transmission appeared on screen, mostly incomprehensible military jargon, but certain phrases stood out. Dormant defense grid, genetic key activation, awakening sequence. Mira, Rel said urgently, what happens if humans collectively experience what we observed individually? If an entire population enters this heightened state simultaneously? Mira's calculations raced across her console. Complete physiological transformation. Strength multiplied, reaction time halved, pain tolerance exponentially increased, cognitive function sharply elevated. She looked up, tentacles pale with fear. They would become the perfect warriors. How could such a species exist naturally? Penn wondered aloud. They didn't, Rel concluded grimly. Someone made them. The question is, who? And why leave them dormant? The ship shuddered suddenly. Energy surge from the planet, Dren reported. Massive power readings activating globally. On the main view screen, the peaceful blue world began to change. Points of light appeared across the surface, thousands of them, then millions forming patterns that had been invisible before. Those aren't cities, Vox whispered. They're installations, weapons platforms, launch facilities. Commander, Mira said, her voice barely audible. I'm detecting changes in human biosignatures planet-wide. Their dormant genetic sequences are activating. Rel stared at the transforming planet below. We need to warn the Alliance, now. As Vox prepared an emergency transmission, a message arrived from Earth on all frequencies, broadcast in perfect galactic standard. Attention alien vessel. You have awakened what was meant to sleep. The hunters have returned. May your gods forgive us for what comes next. General Walker stood in the Pentagon's newly revealed sublevel, watching as systems dormant for centuries hummed to life. Around him, men and women who had been ordinary military personnel hours before, moved with newfound purpose and ability, their eyes sharp with awakened knowledge. Status report, he demanded, his voice carrying a new timbre of authority that had even seasoned officers standing straighter. Sleeper cells activating worldwide, sir, reported Major Reed, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that hadn't existed yesterday. Genetic keys responding at 97% efficiency. The few rejections are within acceptable parameters. Walker nodded. The ancient architects had known some bloodlines would dilute over the millennia. And our visitors? Still in orbit. Their vessel appears to be preparing for faster-than-light transmission. Jam it, Walker ordered. Protocol Sleeper is clear. No warning reaches the stars. Across the globe, buried installations were disgorging technology that humanity had no business possessing. Orbital platforms, disguised for centuries as mundane. Satellites shed their camouflage. Deep-sea bases rose from abyssal trenches. Mountain ranges revealed hangar doors large enough to accommodate vessels designed for interstellar warfare. In the observation lounge above the command center, Dr. Harris watched with academic detachment. As Earth's foremost xenobiologist, she had been among the few humans partially aware of humanity's true nature before the awakening. Fascinating, isn't it? The voice came from Director Marsh of Intelligence, who approached with 2 cups of coffee. How does it feel being vindicated? After all these years? Harris accepted the coffee. I'm still processing. My entire career studying theoretical alien biology, and suddenly I have actual aliens in orbit. She paused. And I'm apparently part alien myself. We all are, Marsh corrected. Or rather, we're all custom designed by them, the progenitors. Below them, technicians were reviewing information streaming in from the alien vessel. Translations of their communications revealed growing panic as they discovered humanity's true purpose. They're right to be afraid, Marsh said, following her gaze. Do you know what the progenitors called us in their design specifications? Pandora's children. Created as a safeguard, hidden on an unremarkable world, designed to appear primitive until needed. Needed for what? Harris asked, though she already suspected the answer. War, Walker said, joining them. The progenitors lost their great war against something they called the Void. Their final act was creating us, a weapon to be activated when the enemy eventually returned. Harris frowned. But these aliens aren't the Void. They're just explorers. Who inadvertently triggered our awakening, Walker confirmed. An unfortunate timing error. The genetic keys were time-calibrated, but evidently the calculations were imperfect. So we've awakened early, Marsh said, before our true enemy has returned. Walker's expression hardened. It changes nothing. Protocol Sleeper is explicit. Once awakened, humanity fulfills its purpose. We prepare, we arm, we unite, and we take the fight outward. Against innocent civilizations? Harris asked. Against all potential threats, Walker corrected. The progenitors made us judge, jury, and if necessary, executioner of cosmic threats. We carry their legacy. On the main screen, the alien vessel attempted to break orbit, only to be caught in previously hidden tractor arrays. Bring them down intact, Walker ordered. Their technology will accelerate our timeline. As the alien craft was forced downward, toward a remote capture facility, Harris felt something stir within her. Knowledge she hadn't possessed yesterday, skills she'd never trained in, certainty about biological weapons that could devastate entire ecosystems. What happens to our humanity? She whispered. These instincts, they're not human. They are now, Marsh replied. This is what we always were beneath the surface, the ultimate soldiers in a war 10 million years in the making. Walker checked his watch, an oddly mundane gesture amidst the technological marvels surrounding them. The President addresses the United Nations in 1 hour. By day's end, Earth will stand united for the first time in human history. He smiled thinly. Our visitors did us a favor, really. They've given us time to prepare properly. Far above, the stars seemed suddenly colder, more distant, and filled with unsuspecting worlds that had no idea what had just awakened on the 3rd planet of an unremarkable yellow star. Fleet Commander Rel regained consciousness in a stark white room, the air uncomfortably dry for his species. His limbs were secured to an examination table with restraints that hummed with energy fields beyond what human technology should possess. He's awake, announced a cool female voice. Rel's vision focused on a human female in a white coat, Dr. Harris, according to the identification visible on her garment. Besides her stood a male in military attire bearing insignia of high rank. I am General Walker, the male introduced himself. And you have caused quite a situation, Commander Rel. Rel's translator implant was functioning perfectly. Too perfectly. The humans shouldn't have been able to calibrate their language to it so quickly. How do you know my name? How are you speaking through my translator? Rel demanded. Walker smiled, thinly. Your technology is impressive, but hardly unfamiliar to us. Not anymore. You were dormant, Rel realized. The records were correct. Humans were technologically primitive. Until we arrived. Precisely, Dr. Harris confirmed, checking. Monitors displaying Rel's vital signs. Your presence triggered a cascade of awakening protocols. Genetic locks opened, neural pathways activated, and buried knowledge surfaced. Walker circled the examination table slowly. Imagine our surprise, Commander. One day we're squabbling over terrestrial resources and political differences. The next we're remembering how to build antimatter containment fields and faster-than-light communication systems. Your entire civilization is a weapon, Rel said, mandibles clicking with agitation. A doomsday device disguised as an evolving species. An elegant solution, wouldn't you agree? Walker replied. Hide your most powerful weapons in plain sight, designed to activate only when needed. Where is my crew? Being treated well, Harris assured him. Your vessel is also intact, though we've been studying it with great interest. Rel attempted to access his emergency beacon implant, only to find it non-responsive. We've neutralized all your communication capabilities, Walker noted, observing his subtle movements. We're not as inexperienced as we were days ago. Through the room's single window, Rel could see an enormous hangar housing what appeared to be spacecraft under construction. Designs that merged recognizable human engineering with technologies no emerging civilization should possess. You don't understand what you're dealing with, Rel warned. The Galactic Alliance includes over 300 species across 12,000 worlds. Your awakening will be seen as a threat. Walker exchanged glances with Harris before responding. We've reviewed your ship's database. The Alliance is impressive but fragmented, bureaucratic, slow to act. By the time they organize a response, Earth will be ready. Ready for what? You have no quarrel with the Alliance. Harris approached with a data tablet showing Rel images from human historical archives. Warfare spanning millennia, each era more destructive than the last. We were designed for conflict, she explained. Our bodies, our minds, even our societies, all optimized for warfare. Yet we've spent most of our history fighting ourselves because we lacked external threats. Until now, Walker added. A cold realization washed over Rel. You intend to attack preemptively. Attack is such a hostile term, Walker countered. We prefer establish our position of strength. Some Alliance worlds will recognize the prudence of alliance with Earth. Others will require convincing. Harris's expression showed conflict. Not all of us agree with this approach, Commander. There are factions advocating for peaceful integration. A minority view, Walker dismissed. The awakened knowledge is clear. We were created as guardians against a cosmic threat. The progenitors designed us to be prepared for anything, including the possibility that other species might try to stop us from fulfilling our purpose. What threat? Rel asked. What enemy could possibly justify turning an entire species into living weapons? Walker's expression darkened. We don't fully know yet. The memories call it the Void, a force that consumed the progenitor's civilization. Our purpose is to prevent its return or defeat it if it does. By conquering the galaxy first? Rel challenged. By securing it, Walker corrected. The progenitors didn't have time for half measures, Commander. Neither do we. As if on cue, alarms sounded throughout the facility. A voice announced over the communication system. General, long-range sensors have detected Alliance vessels approaching the solar system. Estimated arrival, 72 hours. Walker smiled at Rel. Your rescue party, I presume? Good. We welcome the opportunity for our first diplomatic exchange. He turned to leave, then paused. Dr. Harris will ensure your comfort, Commander. Consider yourself not a prisoner, but our first extraterrestrial ambassador. After Walker departed, Harris approached Rel's restraints and subtly adjusted something. Not all humans embrace this militaristic awakening, she whispered. Some of us believe meeting other intelligent life should inspire cooperation, not conquest. As she walked away, Rel felt something small pressed into his hand, an access key, a sliver of hope in an increasingly dire situation. Ambassador Jax of the Galactic Alliance stood before the United World Council, Earth's hastily formed planetary government. 3 weeks since first contact, and already the humans had transformed. Their global power structures, unified their military forces, and begun deploying technology that should have taken centuries to develop. "Let me be clear," Jack stated, his translator converting his harmonic language into human speech patterns. "The Alliance recognizes Earth's right to self-determination. However, the speed of your military expansion raises serious concerns." President Bell, formerly a mid-level diplomat before the awakening had catapulted her to leadership based on suddenly manifested negotiation skills, smiled with practiced calm. "Ambassador, surely you understand our caution. For millennia, we developed, unaware of galactic society. Now we find ourselves surrounded by civilizations thousands of years more advanced. Our defensive posture is merely prudent." "Defensive?" Jax questioned. "Our intelligence indicates you've constructed 17 deep space shipyards in your outer system. You're manufacturing antimatter weaponry at an alarming rate. You've established military outposts on 3 previously uninhabited worlds without consultation." Bell's smile never wavered. "All within our sovereign territory." From the back of the human delegation, General Walker watched with satisfaction. The humans were playing their roles perfectly, reasonable on the surface while preparations continued, unabated. The Alliance envoys, representing a dozen different species, were clearly unsettled by humanity's transformation. In the 3 weeks since the awakening, humanity had advanced technologically at a pace that defied explanation, except that the knowledge had always been there, buried in their genetic code, waiting for the right trigger. Now, factories worldwide produced components for starships, weapons platforms, and defensive systems. Children who weeks ago had been studying basic mathematics now intuitively understood quantum mechanics. Artists turned their creativity to designing more efficient propulsion systems, a complete civilization-wide metamorphosis. In a secure facility thousands of miles from the diplomatic meeting, Fleet Commander Rel met with Dr. Harris and her growing network of human dissidents. "They've accelerated the timetable," Harris reported, showing Rel schematics on a secure tablet. "The first attack fleet will be operational within days." "Attack fleet?" Rel's compound eyes widened. "The Alliance delegation believes they're making progress in negotiations." "A diversion," confirmed Professor Mills, a former historian now struggling with memories of battles he'd never fought. "Walker's faction has no interest in diplomacy. They've fully embraced our programming." Rel studied the humans before him. 2 dozen scientists, military officers, and government officials fighting against their own awakened instincts. "How are you resisting? If these combat imperatives are encoded in your genetics—" "With difficulty," Harris admitted. "We feel the pull toward militarization. The awakened knowledge is seductive. It offers power, certainty, purpose. But it's not who we chose to be," added Captain Reed, who had broken from military command at great personal risk. Before the awakening, humanity was moving, slowly, imperfectly, toward cooperation and peace. This genetic override has hijacked our civilization's natural development. Rel considered this. "Your resistance suggests the progenitors' programming wasn't absolute. Perhaps they included fail-safes, the capacity for choice." "That's our hope," Harris agreed. "But we're outnumbered. The majority have embraced their new nature. The promise of galactic dominance is too appealing after centuries of terrestrial limitations." Mills brought up another document. Ancient text recently discovered in a previously unknown underground chamber in Antarctica. "We've been translating the progenitor records. They call humanity the last solution, not created to fight some. Returning cosmic horror as Walker believes, but designed as a weapon against the progenitors' rivals." He sighed heavily. "We weren't made to save the galaxy. We were made to conquer it." "Then why were you left dormant?" Rel asked. "Something went wrong," Reed explained. "Either the progenitors lost their war before they could deploy humanity, or they recognized the moral implications of what they'd created and chose not to unleash us," Harris finished. "Either way, we remained dormant until your arrival triggered the awakening sequence." Rel absorbed this grim revelation. "The Alliance must be warned. If your military launches with these capabilities and this mindset, that's why we've brought you here," Harris said. "We need to get you back to your people with everything we've learned. The Alliance needs to understand. They're not facing humans as we were, but humans as weapons designed by a long-dead civilization. And they need To know some of us are fighting from within, Reed added firmly. Not all of humanity has surrendered to this genetic programming. As they finalized their escape plan, Rel contemplated the cruel irony. His mission to study this seemingly primitive species had instead awakened an engineered superweapon. Yet, also revealed the true strength of humans, not their designed capacity for violence, but their ability to defy even their own nature when they believed it was wrong. Back at the diplomatic chambers, President Bell concluded her address to the Alliance delegation. "We look forward to peaceful integration with galactic society," she assured them smoothly. "Earth has much to learn and much to offer." As the delegates applauded politely, General Walker received a priority message. "Commander Rel has escaped containment. Dr. Harris and several high-ranking personnel missing." Walker's expression remained neutral, even as he typed his response. "Launch timetable move forward. Prepare first strike units. The conquest begins now." The Alliance Council chamber fell into stunned silence as Fleet Commander Rel concluded his presentation. The evidence was irrefutable. Data from his ship's sensors, biological samples from the human resistance members who had escaped with him, and ancient progenitor texts translated by Dr. Harris's team. "To summarize," Rel stated grimly, "humanity was engineered as a doomsday weapon by the progenitors, designed to remain dormant until needed, then rapidly advance and conquer on their creator's behalf. Our first contact accidentally triggered their awakening protocol." High Counselor Ven, the eldest of the Thraxi species, leaned forward on gnarled limbs. "And you believe this Earth fleet launches within days?" "Hours now," Dr. Harris corrected, stepping forward. Despite her discomfort in the alien environment, her voice remained steady. "General Walker's faction has accelerated their timeline upon discovering our escape." Captain Reed added, "The first wave includes 300 vessels with antimatter capabilities, quantum targeting systems, and temporal displacement fields. Technology that humanity shouldn't possess for millennia." "Impossible," objected the Senti representative. "No civilization develops that rapidly without assistance." "We didn't develop it," Harris explained. "We remembered it. The knowledge was always there, encoded in our DNA, waiting for activation." Mills projected a holographic display of human neural patterns. When the dormancy lifted, neural pathways reconfigured to access this buried knowledge. It wasn't learning, it was revelation. Counselor Ven studied the human defectors with ancient eyes. "Yet you resist this programming. How?" Reed smiled, sadly. "With great difficulty. The awakened knowledge feels right, natural, instinctive. Rejecting it is like holding your breath underwater. Possible, but fighting against powerful biological imperatives. Some humans are more susceptible than others," Harris added. "Those with stronger connections to pre-awakening values, compassion, cooperation, peaceful coexistence, seem better able to maintain their original identities." Rel addressed the Council directly. "The Alliance faces a critical decision. Earth's military capability is now comparable to your most advanced fleets, but still outmatched by your combined forces. That advantage diminishes by the hour." The chamber erupted in debate. Suggestions ranging from immediate military strikes against Earth to attempts at diplomatic reconciliation. Amidst the chaos, a message arrived for Harris. Her face paled as she read it. "We're too late. The Earth fleet has launched." Tactical displays throughout the chamber activated, showing hundreds of vessels emerging from Earth's outer solar system, a feat of manufacturing that should have been impossible in the time frame. "They've been concealing their true production capacity," Reed realized. "Standard military deception." The Council's chief strategist spoke urgently. "Fleet deployment pattern indicates multiple strike groups targeting Alliance core worlds, communication hubs, and defensive installations. Classic first strike strategy." "We need to evacuate civilian populations immediately," someone shouted. "There isn't time," another countered. As panic spread through the chamber, Rel noticed Harris, Reed, and Mills huddled around a data terminal, their expressions shifting from despair to confusion, then to cautious hope. "Council," Harris called out. "Something's wrong with the Earth fleet's trajectory." The tactical display updated, showing the human vessels altering course, not toward Alliance worlds, but forming a defensive perimeter around Earth's solar system. Confused murmurs filled the chamber as a transmission arrived from the lead Earth vessel. General Walker's face appeared on the main screen, his expression grim but resolute. "Alliance Council," he began formally. "Earth requests immediate assistance. Our deep space sensors have detected something approaching from beyond the galactic rim, exactly where the progenitor records warned the threat would emerge." Mills whispered, "The void. It's real." Walker continued, "Our awakening was premature, triggered by Commander Rel's ship rather than the intended catalyst, but perhaps fortuitous. Long-dormant progenitor detection systems are now operational, and they've confirmed what our creators feared. The enemy that destroyed them has returned." The tactical display shifted again, showing readings from beyond known space. A darkness, moving against the stars, consuming light and matter alike. "The progenitors didn't create us to conquer the galaxy," Walker stated, his earlier arrogance replaced by solemn purpose. "They created us to defend it. Humanity was designed as the galaxy's immune system, dormant until the infection returned." Harris stepped forward. "General, are you saying—" "Yes, Doctor. Your translations were incomplete. We've found the final records." Walker's expression softened slightly. "You were right to question our initial interpretation. We weren't designed for conquest. We were designed for sacrifice." The council chamber fell silent as Walker explained. "The progenitors knew they couldn't defeat this entity. So they created us. A species with unmatched adaptive capability and warfare potential, but also the capacity for moral choice. Weapons with conscience. Soldiers who could question orders." Reed understood first. The aggression was necessary, but they built in the capacity for resistance as a safeguard. "Precisely," Walker confirmed. "Those of you who fought against your programming weren't defective. You were functioning exactly as designed. The perfect weapon includes its own failsafe." Rel looked at the humans beside him, beings engineered for violence who had chosen peace, designed for conquest who had risked everything to prevent it. "What now?" he asked. Walker's response was simple. "Now we fulfill our true purpose. Not conquerors, but guardians. Earth's fleet will form the vanguard against the void, but we cannot succeed alone." Counselor Venn rose slowly to his feet. "The Alliance stands with Earth." As the council chamber transformed into a war room, with species that had never fully trusted each other now planning unified defense, Harris approached Rel. "I've just realized something," she said quietly. "The progenitors didn't fail. This is exactly what they intended. Not just awakening humanity's capacity for war, but forcing the galaxy to unite against a common threat." Rel watched the former, enemies now working together with newfound purpose. The ultimate weapon wasn't humanity, he realized. It was unity. In Earth orbit, the unified fleet assembled. Ships of countless designs from hundreds of worlds, forming around the core of Earth vessels. Humanity had awakened as the galaxy's dormant killers, but their true nature had proven more complex than their creators could have imagined. They were weapons, yes, but weapons with the power to choose what they fought for, and who they fought alongside. As the darkness approached from beyond the stars, humanity stood ready, not alone, but at the vanguard of the united galaxy they had inadvertently forged. The ancient progenitors had designed humanity not just as weapons, but as catalysts, sleeping giants whose awakening would force a fractured galaxy to stand together or perish separately. The terrifying truth of humanity's nature as dormant killers had been revealed, but so too had their capacity for choice, for sacrifice, and for leadership. In the command center of the Alliance flagship, Rel stood beside General Walker, Dr. Harris, and representatives from a dozen worlds, former enemies now united by necessity and, perhaps, by something more. "The void approaches," announced the sensor officer. "Estimated contact in 3 minutes." Walker turned to Rel, extending his hand in the human gesture of partnership. "Ready, Commander?" Rel clasped the offered hand with his alien appendage. "Ready, General." As the first tendrils of darkness reached toward the assembled fleet, humanity finally understood their true purpose. Not conquest, but protection. Not dominance, but sacrifice. Not to rule the galaxy, but to ensure it survived. The dormant killers had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same.